So here is the an example of the feature page assignment that you'll be doing. This is one that I created yesterday. And of course, if I had some more time to do it, there's certainly some things that I would work through a little bit differently, but wanted to actually do the assignment myself, but also give you some thoughts on the process, and thought it would be valuable for me to work through it too. So here's an example of the design I did, connected to the new Wonder Woman movie that's out, and just want to walk you through some of the specifics so that you have a sense of how you might want to create this on your own. So I have a dominant image and clearly a one-story package that's sort of the feature here, and then a column along the left-hand side of the page, and then a secondary feature as well. So I'll zoom in on a couple of these things so that you can see them a little bit better as we go. And as always, if you have any questions, just shoot me an email or put something in the Facebook group so I can hopefully answer any questions you might have. Certainly, it does not have to look anything like this. I want you to pick some topics that kind of make sense for you. So you notice first off at the top, I called this particular section. It's section B of the newspaper. It doesn't really matter, but it's called On Film. In this particular section would be theoretically stories that would be all about movies. I didn't do that necessarily with the column. It's just kind of about a random topic, and I don't even think the story matches the text. And that's also not the strange-looking person who wrote it. But I did do a story at the bottom about sharks and kind of real-life sharks as connected to shark portrayals in the movies. And then clearly this larger package with the Wonder Woman story. Kind of wish I had found an image that was a little higher quality. You can see even from zoomed out like this that it's certainly pixelated. I had to make it much bigger and did not pick out the best image I could, but I did do the cutout on it, and so that you can work through some of that in Photoshop and kind of see how that package works together. Okay, so let's zoom up at the top here and kind of get a sense of some of the things. You can see that pixelization on the photo. So I've got the flag at the top, and that's something that you certainly want to create. Definitely think about using some of your style guide stuff that you created for the week before. So again, I've mentioned this probably on all 4 of the videos that I've done, but you're creating these 2 assignments, and ideally they're going to work together a little bit. So you've got the style guide assignment that you're doing first, where you're creating styles for a specific student publication, and then you are creating a full-size broadsheet feature page. It might make sense to use some of those styles that you created in the style guide on your feature page. So you can see some of the font choices that I picked here. I think this is probably just Minion Pro on here. I changed the color of this. So we have that blue that's working together on the feature here. I also, I don't want to give people whiplash, but we'll go down. I used that blue again here, kind of a shade of that blue as well. All right, back to the top. And fit these pieces together. I added this line in between because I like this look where everything, you don't actually space the letters at all, but you've got 2 words together and you just change the color. But I felt like I needed something more, so I added that line. There's a little white box behind this letter B, but you can see how this nice transparent blue, almost purple looking line goes all the way across and ties everything together. This line extends so that you've got this little subheadline underneath that kind of fits with it, and all that works together as a nice square package. So you definitely want to create something that goes with your whatever your folio is at the top. And then we'll look at we'll zoom out here a couple, maybe just one. Let's look at the story itself. Create a headline package, not the most genius headline in the world, but I was trying to think of phrases that went with the word wonder, and came up with this, and created a drop cap for this package. You notice again I'm using very thin lines. There's one here with the headline, and also separating the story elements. I like lines, but I like to use them very thin. I think these are all 0.25. They're really about the thinnest you can go, at least as far as the standards are for that. Cut out the picture I mentioned before, and then created a clipping path of that photo. There's nothing really in between. That looks like it's in between. Clipping path of the photo so that I could wrap the story around it. So I got rid of the background in Photoshop, and then actually created the clipping path in InDesign so that the background wasn't just white, it was actually not there. So you can see how it was then able to take the story, which is made up, it's just a dummy copy from another story, and wrapped it around the edge of the photo in a nice clean way. Again, nice thin line between the story and the jump, right? There's not a lot of text here on this opening story. And that's okay. You don't necessarily have to have the bulk of the text on the front page. You can have it jump to another page and put the rest of the story there. Utilize the drop cap, and I chose to do the leading a little thicker on this so that, again, there wasn't quite so much story there. It wasn't quite so overwhelming. Put the caption and utilize the text wrap as well with the caption. I had to take the text wrap function off for the headline so that I could kind of place this where I wanted to place it. And that can be done if you hold Control and click if you're on a Mac, or just right click if you're on a PC. And I go to text frame options, and this is already checked, but this is a really important button here. This ignore text wrap allows you to, if that's checked, I can move this text anywhere without it being affected by the text wrap. But I have to have this text wrapped in order to have this go around it. So oftentimes you want some things affected and other things not, and that's a good way to be able to do that, is to utilize that text frame options and ignore text wrap. Okay, so we have that one dominant package that we decided on. We talked through the kind of flag information at the top. Also have a column here. I've created a logo for the column, which I would like you to do. A headline and the name of the writer here. The copy doesn't matter as much. You can just put in copy from whatever. And then at the bottom of this, I've included information about the columnist, and then there's just a little infographic that might go with the story idea that's here. And then same with this one. This is just another story that I kind of created with the package, and definitely wanted something visual at the bottom of the page to kind of draw the reader's eyes to it. You can see these nice thin lines that are separating those story packages, and we'll zoom back out so you can get kind of the full effect here of the package. Okay, so that's, again, an example of what I would like you to do for this design project after you finish your style guide, which is design project number 4. The 5th design project is this one, to create a feature package. I hope I have those numbers right. Okay, so I have a couple other examples of just other ones to kind of look at. You can see how this is pretty clear. There's even though I utilized that rail of space and also included that line, you can pretty clearly see, I think, where the 3 stories are delineated. And that's an important thing too, to make sure that that spacing works for your reader. So let's look at a couple other packages here. And you can see same idea with 3 different packages, but set up a little bit differently so that you can see them. Okay? And sometimes an exercise you might do is to just draw a box around each of those packages so that you can kind of see what's what. And we'll make those different colors. So I'm going to go to my colors and grab my swatches and just fill this so that you can see it. And then I will copy and paste that. Just change it to a different color. And here's the other package. And let's get one more on there, and we'll make that a 3rd color. And you can see now I kind of have a visual of what those 3 packages look like. Okay, so this one's very vertical. If we were to do the same thing on the first, you'd see how that package pattern would be a little different. Let's get rid of these. I'll actually cut them so I can use them again in the next one. But there's what that package would look like, and that's another option as well. So you can do this in different ways, and that's certainly fine to do. Here's a religion page. Okay, it looks a little much, quite a bit more like the first example that we had. So now let's move this package off the page, and then we can kind of reconfigure a little bit to see what this pattern looks like. So we've got one story here, and I've got a longer, what again looks like a column here, and then a horizontal across the bottom, roughly there. Okay, so a different look again. All right, and let's cut those again. There's that package. So the last one, this is a student drawn one. Go back to our print preview mode. And I'll give you a second to look at this and see if you can figure out. There's one issue with this one. It looks pretty good, but we have one little problem. So before I start drawing those boxes, if you just take a look at that, this is a Central Park map, which I think works really well, and then just a key that goes with it of different places that you might see when you go through the park. So I think this actually is a pretty well done, other than the fact that we have one issue. So let's see if we can figure that out. So here is the column, and let's see if I can find my boxes again. Here's the story at the bottom, goes approximately there. And then we have this. The main story goes to there, but actually extends so that it isn't quite a mod. Right? In order to do this the right way, we'd have to probably have two separate boxes, be able to cover both of those at the same time. And that's really not the look that you want. These weird sort of L's that are created are not exactly what you'd want to have in a design like this. You'd want to be able to design everything modularly so that they all fit into squares and rectangles. So other than that particular issue, everything else on this I think looks pretty well. And if this were published, I think that it would go over okay. But you really want to try to avoid doing that L thing. Okay, so you have some examples. You kind of saw how this works. I'll scroll back up to the top one. Here's the example that I created. And again, this is your job for this assignment, is to actually create a broadsheet feature package, the entire page. So we've worked through a couple different levels, and we're getting closer to the end of the semester. You can kind of see the end in sight here, I think. So good luck with this. Let me know what questions you have, and I'll look forward to seeing what you have. Thanks so much.